There comes a time when you realize life doesn't owe you fairness. People don't always deserve what you give. And in your old age, when your time, energy, and wisdom are most valuable, the worst thing you can do is waste it on the wrong people. We live in a world where loyalty is often met with betrayal, where kindness is mistaken for weakness, and where the ones you lift the highest are the first to forget who held them up. So here's the truth. You must protect your energy. You must choose wisely who you help. There's a dangerous illusion many people carry through life. The belief that loyalty is automatic, that those around you will stand by you simply because they once claimed to care. But the reality is far harsher. When you fall, when the storm hits, when everything collapses, most people disappear. They vanish like smoke. No calls, no support, just silence. And that silence speaks louder than any excuse. People often reveal their true selves in moments of crisis, not in celebration. During success, you're surrounded. During failure, you're tested. And if someone vanished during your darkest hour, if they turned their back when you had nothing, when your life was falling apart, you need to remember that. You need to let that shape how you treat them when you're rising again. It's easy to show up when the lights are on. It's easy to clap when you're winning. But that there ones, the rare ones, they show up when you're bleeding. They sit beside you when you have no answers, when you're confused, broken, and lost. That kind of presence can't be faked. It's not bought. It's earned. And it's rare, but most won't do that. Most will disappear when things get inconvenient. They'll say they were busy, or they didn't want to bother you, or they didn't know how to help. But the truth is simple. They didn't care enough to try. The emotional cost of loyalty to the wrong people. And now here you are, older, wiser, battle-tested. Maybe you've rebuilt yourself. Maybe you've finally found peace. Maybe the success they once doubted is now undeniable. And suddenly they're back, smiling, friendly, nostalgic, acting like the distance never happened. Don't fall for it. Just because someone returns doesn't mean they deserve a place. Just because someone reappears doesn't mean they've changed. Often it's not regret that brings them back, it's opportunity. They see you doing well. They see your growth. They see the energy in you that they once ignored and now they want in. But where were they when you were drowning? Where were they when you needed encouragement, not just applause? When you needed loyalty, not silence? You see, some people love the finished product but can't handle the process. They disappear when you're struggling because they don't see the value in your journey, only in your results. They lack the vision, they lack the heart, and they lack the strength to stand beside someone who wasn't yet shining. You owe them nothing. Forgiveness is one thing. Carrying dead weight is another. It's not revenge, it's clarity. It's protecting your peace. When you allow people to walk away during your low points and then return when it's convenient, you're sending a dangerous message that your energy is open to anyone, regardless of how they treat you. That must stop in your later years, when your time becomes the most valuable thing you own. You need to be more selective than ever. You don't have the bandwidth to relieve old cycles, to reopen old doors. If someone couldn't stand with you in weakness, they have no right to enjoy you in strength. You don't carry passengers who abandon the ship in the storm. This is not about bitterness. It's about boundaries. You learn the hard way who's real. That knowledge is a gift. Use it because the same people who vanished before will do it again. The minute life tests you, they'll fold. They've already proven it. You just didn't want to believe it the first time. But now you know better. You're not here to fund their comfort. You're not here to play the hero in someone else's story when they wouldn't even read a chapter in yours. Your energy must be earned. Key 1. Never help those who vanished when you struggled, not assumed. Don't let nostalgia deceive you. Don't let what used to be close blind you from the truth. Loyalty without consistency is nothing. They ran when you were down. They'll run again. And every time you let them back in, you're sending a signal to yourself that your growth doesn't matter, that your journey wasn't worth defending. Stop doing that. You are the sum of everything you endured. You became who you are because of those lonely nights, those moments where you had to become your own strength. Don't insult that version of you by rewarding the people who went missing. Don't dishonor your struggle just to look generous. You are not bitter. You are awake. Help those who helped you. Build with those who stood firm. Honor those who didn't flinch. But for Theones who ghosted your pain and returned for your power, wish them well from a distance. Because the truth is simple. When people show you who they are, believe them. And when they vanish during the fire, don't let them bask in the warmth of your success. Let them stay in the cold they left you in. There's a subtle form of manipulation that often disguises itself as love, loyalty, or even family. Guilt. It's when someone doesn't ask for your help directly, but instead makes you feel like you owe it to them. Not because you want to give, not because they truly need it, but because they've planted the idea that you're a bad person if you don't. That's emotional blackmail, and it's more dangerous than outright selfishness. These are the people who remind you of everything they've done for you, even if it was years ago or done with strings attached. They'll weaponize the past, twist your memories, and say things like, "After everything I did for you," or "You wouldn't be here without me." Suddenly, you feel trapped, not because you believe in their cause, but because they've framed you as the villain if you say no. And that's the moment you need to be most alert, because giving under pressure is not generosity, it's surrender. It's when your boundaries are overridden by guilt and your peace is traded for someone else's entitlement. That is not a healthy exchange. That is not love. That is control, disguised as connection. You don't owe anyone your time, money, energy, or presence just because they want it. You owe it to yourself to protect those things from being drained by people who don't respect your limits. The truth is, some people don't want help. They want leverage. They want you to feel responsible for their life, their failures, their lack of effort, so they never have to take ownership. And if they can get you to carry their load, why wouldn't they? You see, Theones who guilt you into giving are not interested in growth. They're interested in convenience. They don't want your wisdom. They want your wallet. They don't want your mentorship. They want your time on demand. Not to build with you, not to elevate you, but to make sure you don't forget what you them even if you've already paid it back 100 times over. This becomes even more. They return only when they need you. Again, toxic as you grow older. As you succeed, as you gain influence, stability, and peace, these people appear like clockwork. Their language is subtle. You've changed, they say. Don't forget where you came from. They'll use your loyalty against you. They'll make your evolution feel like betrayal. But that's not on you. That's on them for never evolving with you. Guilt is their currency, and your kindness is their target. But here's what they won't say. The help they're asking for is rarely about survival. It's about avoiding responsibility. It's about taking the easy way out by convincing you to carry the burden they never had, the discipline to lift. They want your success without these scars, your outcome without the effort. You cannot rescue people from themselves. You cannot become the solution to someone else's unwillingness to grow. Every time you say yes out of guilt, you're not just sacrificing your peace. Yeah, you're enabling their stagnation. You're telling them it's okay not to try. I'll fix it for you, and you will be drained again and again. There is nothing noble about becoming a doormat. Compassion doesn't mean becoming available. 24 to 27 to those who never show up for themselves. If someone truly respects you, they won't guilt you into giving. They'll be grateful when you choose to. But those who lead with guilt aren't looking for gratitude. They're looking for control. And the moment you set a boundary, they'll call you selfish, cold, distant. Why? Because the power they once had over you is slipping away and they don't know how to function without it. But here's the truth. Saying no doesn't make you cruel. It makes you conscious. Saying no doesn't mean you've forgotten what someone once did for you. It means you're no longer letting that memory chain you to a pattern of unhealthy giving. Giving should be free, not forced. Giving should be from strength, not fear. If someone can only receive from you when you're under emotional pressure, that's not a relationship. That's a transaction cloaked in shame. Don't let guilt become the leash they use to lead your life. You are allowed to outgrow people whose emotional debt as a weapon. You are allowed to walk away from anyone who makes you feel small for choosing yourself. That is not betrayal. That's protection. And the next time someone tries to make you feel guilty for setting a boundary, Ask yourself, where were they when I needed support without expectations? When I gave freely without manipulation? People forget those moments, but your spirit remembers. Your body remembers. Key 2. Never help those who guilt you into giving that feeling of heaviness when you gave, not from joy, but from fear, from pressure, from shame. You don't have to keep reliving that. You don't owe anyone a lifetime of giving just because they once gave you a ride, lent you a hand, or shared a meal when times were tough. Gratitude is one thing. Eternal servitude is another. Know the difference. You're not here to be emotionally extorted by anyone. Not in your youth and definitely not in your old age. Stand tall. Set the boundary. Walk forward. Give from overflow, never from obligation. Some people can't stand to see you grow because every step you take forward reminds them of where they chose to stay behind. And instead of supporting you, they shrink you. Not because you've done something wrong, but because your progress threatens the theory they've built about themselves. These are the people who consistently choose their ego over connection, their pride over truth, their self-image over respect for the people who truly care. You've seen them before. The ones who would rather be right than repair the relationship, who would rather win an argument than protect the bond. When faced with a choice between harmony and superiority, they always choose to stand above you, not beside you. And when you try to help them again and again, they take your kindness as weakness. They see your patience as a chance to dominate, not to grow. They use your empathy not as a bridge, but as leverage. That's when it becomes toxic. Because helping someone once or twice doesn't damage you, but constantly giving to someone who places their ego above your value, that will destroy your spirit. You become the emotional cushion for their insecurity, the target for their blame, the sacrifice for their pride. And the more you tolerate it, the more it becomes normal. At first, it's subtle. A snide remark, a refusal to admit they were wrong, a dismissal of your ideas even when they know you're right. They can't give you credit. They can't apologize. They can't be vulnerable, because in their mind, vulnerability is weakness. And they'd rather lose you than lose their sense of control. You start to question yourself. You wonder why your intelligence is met with silence, your growth with coldness, your honesty with anger. But the answer is simple. Their ego is too fragile to celebrate you. And yet you keep helping. You offer advice. You offer support. You offer time. But no matter what you give, it's never enough, because the help they need is something they refuse to confront. It's not money. It's not resources. It's not opportunity. It's healing, self-reflection, accountability. And that's the one thing their ego won't let them accept. They want to be seen as the strong one, the recognizing manipulation in the name of love leader, the one who has it figured out. So your growth, your awareness, your peace, your strength threatens that illusion. It reminds them of what they've ignored in themselves. And instead of rising with you, they resent you. Not openly, but silently, subtly through passive aggression, sarcasm, or neglect. Helping someone like that is like watering a plant that refuses sunlight. You can give and give, but if they aren't overgrowth, nothing changes. And here's the dangerous part. They will take from you anyway. They will accept your support, your time, your sacrifices, but never give you their respect you deserve in return, because acknowledging your role in their life means admitting they needed you, and their ego can't handle that. So, they write the story. They minimize your contribution. They say, I had it under control, or I didn't really need that. They act like you were just convenient, not essential. And if you speak up, they gaslight you, telling you you're too sensitive, too emotional, too dramatic. But what you're feeling isn't drama. It's truth. It's the cost of loving someone who only loves you when it doesn't cost them their pride. You must stop helping people who repeatedly put their ego above your worth, because they won't stop. They won't suddenly wake up and change. Not until life forces them to. And until then, your presence only protects their dysfunction. Your silence only feeds their illusion. Your help only gives them more power to keep belittling you while pretending they don't need you. That's not a relationship. That's emotional slavery. And the hardest part is walking away, not because you need them, but because you believed in who they could be. You believed in their potential. You saw the good under the ego. And maybe it's there. Maybe they could evolve. But it's not your job to stay and suffer while they figure it out. Your value is not dependent on someone else's ability to recognize it. Your kindness is not a contract. Your help should be given where it's respected, not where it's exploited. So the next time someone refuses to listen, refuses to apologize, refuses to humble themselves enough to meet you eye to eye, don't give them more of you. Don't bend. Don't chase. Don't beg for basic respect. Help those who are ready to receive it, who are brave enough to grow with you, who see your support as sacred, not as a threat to their pride. The rest, let them go. Because ego will always burn the bridge that love tries to build. And you weren't meant to carry people who would rather lose you than. Key 3. Never help those who chose ego over you lower their voice. Let their pride be their prison. You walk free. You can't drag someone into the future if they're committed to staying in the past. You can't plant growth in someone who's already decided they've done enough evolving. Some people stop learning the moment it becomes uncomfortable. They stop adapting the moment they feel exposed. And then they expect you to keep helping them as if nothing's changed, even when they haven't. There is no greater waste of energy than trying to save someone who refuses to move forward. You can extend your hand, offer your wisdom, even give them tools they never earned. But if their mindset is frozen in victimhood, entitlement, or laziness, it's like pouring water into a cracked jar. No matter how much you give, it never holds. And it's not because they can't grow, it's because they won't. Growth is not about age. It's about mindset. It's about choosing to take responsibility when it's easier to blame. It's about evolving even when no one's watching. It's about looking at your life honestly and saying, this version of me is not enough for where I'm going. But some people never say that. Instead, they build a life around your excuses. They use their pain as a permanent pass. They romanticize the struggle and reject every mirror that tries to show them the truth. And the moment you try to help, not enable, but help, they push back. They get defensive. They call you arrogant, distant, or fake because you had the audacity to outgrow who they still are. You see it clearly. You've done the work. You failed, learned, adjusted. You've gone through hell and came out with lessons. And when you share those lessons, you don't do it to boast. You do it because you know how heavy that road was. But they don't want the lessons. They want shortcuts. They want comfort. They want the benefits of transformation without paying the price. That's when you have to make a choice, a hard one. Do you keep helping someone who's allergic to growth, who repeats the same cycles year after year, blaming everything but themselves? Or do you pull your energy back and accept the truth? You can't lead someone who's sitting down by choice. Here's the danger. The longer you stay close to when pride becomes their only language, people who refuse to grow, the more they normalize stagnation. You'll start feeling guilty for advancing. You'll start questioning your ambition. You'll be told you've changed as if that's a flaw. You'll shrink yourself to match their comfort zone. And slowly, their limitation becomes your ceiling. And that is how potential dies. Not with failure, but with settling. You owe it to yourself not to help those who never grew. Not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. Growth must be mutual, energy must be reciprocated, and help must be earned, not assumed. Because when you constantly give to people who stay stuck, you're not helping them. You're cushioning their downfall. You're giving them reasons to never improve. You're protecting them from the pain that's supposed to teach them. That's not love. That's sabotage wrapped in empathy. The people who deserve your help are Theans who help themselves. They're not perfect, but they try. They ask questions. They apply advice. They reflect, they fall, but they get back up differently each time. Those people are rare and they grow with you. They match your pace, maybe not in results, but in mentality. But those who never grew, they drain you. They expect you to slow down for them. They want you to carry both your weight and theirs. They want you to dim your light because they never learned to build their own. And they'll keep taking until you're exhausted. Not because they're evil, but because you made it easy. It ends when you make a new decision. When you realize that your growth is not a crime, and their stagnation is not your burden. You were not born to be someone else's crutch forever. You're not here to babysit grown people who stopped trying. Key 4, never help those who never grew. 10 years ago, You are not responsible for fixing what they refuse to admit is broken. You can love people from a distance. You can wish them well without walking beside them. You can hope they grow, but stop sacrificing your momentum waiting for them to start. Because here's the truth, helping people who never grew doesn't make you noble, it makes you stuck. And life will keep pulling you forward while they pull you back. That tension will tear you apart if you don't release it. So let them go. Let them stay where they are if that's what they choose. But you keep moving, keep learning, keep rising. The world doesn't need more people trapped in cycles. It needs people who had the courage to break free from them. And you can't break free while holding the hand of someone who's fighting to stay the same. In your old age, your wisdom is currency. Your time is gold. Stop spending it on people who only remember you when they need something. Protect your peace. Honor your journey. Guard your value. Don't be the person who gave final words. Protect your energy. As you age, everything to those who gave nothing back. Help wisely. Help those who build grow and rise with you.